Today's Zwift tip covers something that has had a lot of feedback in the last week, and I'm talking about the Zwift Academy 2021 baseline ride. After failing my first attempt pretty hard, I did my homework, returned to the start line, and I nailed my second attempt at this ride. Or more accurately, I think it nailed me. Oh, holy hell. Ah. First up, some background on this ride and what they're hoping to achieve with it. Now, the goal of this ride is to set baseline times across 3 in-game segments in sim mode. So this isn't a workout and it's not in erg mode. You push extremely hard on the 3 timed segments. Zwift records those times. You then go off and complete Zwift Academy, and then you return to the same baseline ride in a few weeks' time to see how you're tracking. So it's really handy to know the ins and outs of how this ride works because you'll be doing it a few times. Okay, now onto the 5 things that you need to know, or more accurately, that I wished I had have known before starting my first baseline ride attempt. Number 1, it is not a race. There is no drafting effect enabled with this group ride. You can't slingshot off the bunch to get a better sprint time, and you can't hold somebody else's wheel to save a few watts up the longer climbs. It's a pure individual effort. Tip number 2, there are only 3 timed segments that count when completing this baseline ride. The rollout speed does not matter. You can let the bunch go, you can be right at the back. That has no influence whatsoever on your segment times. The time it takes for you to get between the finish of one segment and the start of the other doesn't matter either. You can go as easy as you want and get a full recovery between the efforts. Tip number 3, knowing the segments. And this is where I got tripped up, and so have a lot of others. Zwift Insider has them all detailed for both baseline ride options, and I'll link to this page below in the video description. It's essential to know the start points and the length of these segments before starting the ride, so you know how much effort you need to put in. There's no in-game prompts for the segment starts, which has caught a few people out. The finish line banners are easy to spot though. Watch for the order of these segments too in both of these rides. They are a little different. I spoke to somebody this morning who opened up a full sprint on the first standard baseline segment, which was Titans Grove Reverse KOM, thinking it was a true sprint. Now, while that's an ambitious tactic that might work for some, it's not an optimal pacing strategy for that segment. To replicate the true pro experience, maybe pull out some tape and a texter, jot down those starting points and tape it to your stem. Tip number 4 is where your segment results can be reviewed after your ride is completed, and that's here in the companion app. Clicking on the Zwift Academy road, and the baseline is the only one I've completed so far, and the attempts come up on screen there, showing my personal best. If I click on, let's go short first, you'll see my 2 attempts there. The first effort there was 16 seconds where I didn't quite know what was going on, and after doing my homework, I set a personal best of 11 seconds for this short sprint. Going back up to Titans Grove Reverse KOM, first attempt 2 minutes 30 where I was kind of just ticking along a little confused, and the second attempt yesterday there, setting a 1:31, which again was another PB up that climb. Onto the long segment, and I really didn't try too hard after absolutely slaughtering myself on the first 2 segments there. So first attempt there was 26:35, and my second attempt there was 29:23. I probably will need to revisit this segment. And finally, tip number 5, when revisiting this baseline test at the end of Zwift Academy, it's best to use the same frame and wheel set to keep all the variables the same. This is a baseline test and you want to check your improvement, not the improvement that maybe your new bike gives you. If you have the Tron, maybe use that. That way you don't have to remember which wheel set you put on. The Tron is just the Tron, wheels and frame. So there it is, my 5 tips for the Zwift Academy baseline ride for 2021. Tips that I wish I had have known before going in blind to that first baseline ride test where I really didn't know what was going on. Look, as mentioned at the start of the video, there has been a lot of feedback to Zwift on this one. I have been a very loud contributor of that feedback, and I hope this video clears up a lot of questions that people have and you don't have the same experience I did going in blind. So all the best with the test, go hard, but only when it counts. Thanks for watching. Oh. Ah.